What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys, and quite an interesting one because we've got some quotes from Heung-min Son, but the most interesting stuff is we got some quotes from Daniel Levy from the Fan Advisory Board, which we'll get into a bit later. But let's start off with these quotes from Sonny. We've got 3 quotes to get through, so we'll go quote by quote and see, and we'll get your reaction on them. First one's on Richarlison, and he says, Richy is a really strong guy, a good character, and can always bounce back strong. But when you have a tough time, you need good people around you. I always try and be a friend of his, and if he needs anything, then I can help from my experience or my playing wise also. I think everyone is standing behind him and helping him. He did an amazing job for the club on Saturday. So, I mean, it does seem to, I mean, you don't really expect anything else really than the players to kind of surround Richarlison with the love and the positivity. You heard it from Kulusevski after the game, and now you're hearing it from Heung-min Son. But this isn't the first time we've heard it from Heung-min Son either. But as club captain, it's nothing you don't expect.
No, but it's good to hear, and it's good to hear. It wasn't just good to hear, but it was good to see. Actions speak louder than words for Sonny, and you saw his reaction to Richarlison after the game, giving him all the support and all the plaudits after a match-winning performance from Richarlison off the bench after a very difficult week. And I think he's leading by example, Sonny. I think he's such a great leader when it comes to kind of bringing people together and making people feel loved, and we saw that. And I think those quotes just exemplify it as well. So I think he's showing tremendous leadership at the moment, Heung-min Son, and I think he's taking that responsibility as captain. I think before he was captain, he was always very much like a happy-go-lucky kind of figure with always with a smile on his face. But now he seems to be very focused on transmitting that kind of feeling onto his teammates and having that responsibility to kind of get them back up when they're feeling down as well. And we've seen Sonny during his time at Spurs. He's had tough times as well. His first season wasn't great. You know, had a very tough first season. Last season, he had a very difficult time. He's gone through spells where he's gone through goal droughts and things like that as well, and people have questioned him. So I think he knows, maybe obviously not personal stuff that Richarlison's going through, but from a on the pitch standpoint, he probably knows what Richarlison's going through a tough time. So I think he's the perfect person to help him through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was also speaking on unity as well. And he says, obviously, you can't compare it to your real family, but we are getting really, really tight in the changing room. Everyone is working for each other. Everyone is running for each other. Everyone is fighting for each other. If someone comes off, you give a hand off, and everyone is happy to do that. That makes us really strong as a team and a group. We're getting really close, and we hope we can get even tighter than what we are right now. So, I mean, but that's something that you can really see, can't you? You know, especially you saw that Kulusevski scored, and everyone just darted towards everyone on the bench. Even the goalkeeper ran the whole length of the pitch to go and celebrate with the team. And that's something that's been missing from Spurs for quite a while.
100%, and I think there's been a very fractured dressing room in previous years. I think we've seen last year Conte saying how no one was fighting for each other. All, you know, he was complaining in the media about a fractured dressing room. We've always had kind of leaks from media as well saying that all is not right. As I was saying, yeah, we've also had leaks from the media saying like all is not right within the squad, and there's been like fractures, like within the team as well. And I think we've seen that on the pitch. Everyone hasn't seemed together. But I think this new blood of young, fresher players with a new approach, as Postecoglou was saying, less baggage in the squad as well, with things that haven't worked out in previous years. Now we've got like fresh eyes, fresh players in the squad. I think we're starting to create that family feel, and I don't think there's anyone better to head that than someone like Heung-min Son to glue everything together. Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, like, I agree with everything you're saying, but right now it all seems well because we're winning and start of the season and just come in. There's still a case though to say like what's going to happen when things actually don't go right and things start going wrong.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to learn a bit more from the team when things go wrong, 100%. But I do think the fact that there's so many new players and younger players as well who are more happy to be here and happy to be part of the team rather than like before, like just desperate to win because they're aging and stuff like that and it hadn't worked out in previous years. I just think it leads to more of a family feel.
And last but not least, he was talking about the captaincy, and he says, I don't try to be hard or difficult in a different way. I just want to to be a good example by actions. I'm not the guy who is always talking and leading by words. I try to be a good example to everyone, but having this group of players is making my job really, really easy. And that's kind of some stuff that we've said about Heung-min Son. He's not like the kind of old-fashioned kind of leader that's berating his players and shouting all the time, but he is a guy that leads by example, and we're seeing that on the pitch week in, week out at the moment.
Yeah, and I think the difference between someone like him and maybe Kane or Lloris is, I think both Kane and Lloris were also kind of not kind of guys who would be very loud in the dressing room either. They were also more kind of leaders by example, rather than people who berate or demand more from their teammates and stuff like that. But I think the difference between them and Son is that Son just has that lovable element to it, and you don't want to let him down. I feel like when it comes to Kane and Son, I feel like there's a respect there, and I'm sure there's a respect for Son, but I feel like their leadership came from the respect they gained, but I feel like Son's leadership is more from like the friendship he gains from his colleagues, and they don't want to let down a friend rather than let down someone they respect.
And sometimes that can be a bit more powerful as well.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll have to wait and see, but I think that's definitely an element to it.
Yeah, I mean, I did mention this to you on one of the updates or one of the shows a few days ago, but I kind of do get the sense and get the feeling that in terms of pure leadership and captain material, I kind of feel like from what they've shown so far, Son has got that in more in abundance than maybe a Kane and a Lloris did, to be fair.
Yeah, I think so.
And when you're looking at it and like our past captains, since we've been following Spurs, they've never really been the kind of like old school leaders. I always liken it to maybe like I don't want to say it on this channel, but like someone like a John Terry always springs to mind. That's always like, very hard on his team. Roy Keane's a similar ilk.
Yeah.
But like Ledley King, for example, wasn't like that. Ledley King was more of a quiet leader and led by example as well. So, I mean, I can't remember in recent times if we've ever had that kind of leader.
Not really. To be fair, there's not many of those leaders around in the Premier League anymore. But
even like when we were like growing up and watching Spurs,
there's not too many. From who was our captain after Ledley King? It was Dawson. You can maybe say he was more of a louder kind of character. He was
more, but still, he was still like a very happy-go-lucky,
exactly.
like smiley guy.
Character, exactly. Yeah. So, and then wasn't it Adebayor after him or Kabul?
Gallas, wasn't it?
No, because when Poch's first season, it was
Kabul, yeah.
I think it might have been Kabul, and he wasn't like the best captain, was he? And then I think it became Lloris.
But I mean, Kabul didn't last very long, did he? It was like literally he got sold in that first year of Poch.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't had those characters before.
All right, well, let's get into the Daniel Levy quotes. There's quite a bit to get through here, so we'll go quote by quote. The first, he was asked whether the lack of cup games will impact next summer's transfer activity. And he says, Daniel Levy explained that everything is interlinked, whether it's match days, commercial partners, or visitor attractions. Everything impacts the club's ability to spend on the first team, which is why we have to drive extra revenues. For example, the F1 Drive London. The board were asked how much the club would lose by not hosting one Carabao Cup match. Finance Director Matthew Collicott said it was difficult to quantify as receipts were shared and gates varied. Daniel Levy explained that with no European fixtures this season, more women's first team fixtures could be held at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So no real answer there. Batting away questions once again.
But how much of a difference can it make? One Carabao Cup game? We're talking about like 500,000 or something. Like, come on. I know like gate receipts for, first of all, there's no guarantee we get drawn at home. And second of all, even if we do, like one game is really not going to be a significant. I can understand Europe, but surely that goes into the budget for this season's transfer, not next season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a weird question, I think, that was asked, to be fair.
Yeah, it is, to be fair. And he was talking about, they were asked about ticket prices as well. And it goes, at the latest fan advisory board meeting, Chairman Daniel Levy confirmed that the club wanted to minimise the impact of rising costs on fans. Ticket prices had been discussed at the prior meeting. Daniel Levy explained everything was a balance when operating a business. Donna Cullen confirmed that a full ticketing review was in hand and that the FAB would be included in the discussions going forward. So again, not really answering too many questions, but they're saying that they're going to review it, but on a review, can you really see them decreasing the prices?
Never. What do you mean review it? Just they know what they've done. I'm sure they did a review of the prices before they raised it. So I don't see them going back on it now. There was a bit of pressure put on in the first home game, but obviously Spurs are doing well. That's going to die down a bit. I do think the prices are pretty crazy. Like, you know, talking £100 for some Premier League games at the moment.
Category C now. Category C, where we sit, is basically like a £55 ticket, like in the middle of the South Stand.
Yeah, man, they used to be like a Category A price back in the day. But obviously, I understand inflation, prices are going to go up. But I think at the moment, you know, you've seen a near 20% price rise from last season in a lot of places.
Surely if they're smart about things, they look at what the fans have been through for the past, let's say, 3 years for now. They look at that and they'd be like, all right, look, we're going to freeze ticket prices at this point. And then if they expect to get better, which I'm sure they do under Ange Postecoglou and everything that they're putting into the club right now, then they would have at least something to go on to increase the prices for next season.
Yeah, I think they've lost a lot of trust from a lot of fans with how they've kind of run the club from a footballing standpoint in terms of the kind of product we're getting on the pitch. So to raise the prices off the back of those seasons definitely has a sour taste in my mouth. And even just the prices, even if things were going well, obviously they're the highest prices in the league. So that's also a question. But off the back of some turgid football seasons, that's got to be something to be looked at. So I think if they wanted to really gain a lot of the trust back from fans, and if they believed in their own project, they would say, look, we're freezing prices, but we really believe under Postecoglou we're going in the right direction. We believe next season we will have earned the right to kind of up the prices, and that would have been a better way to do things instead of going about it this way. But this is the way they've gone. So I mean, as long as Spurs are doing well, I mean, I can even say as long as Spurs are doing, I'm not going to complain. But at the moment, we're still paying the highest price in the league. So I think that Spurs, even if we are doing well, have the right to complain, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. Next quote is Daniel Levy. This is a quote from Daniel Levy, and it says, "Significant investments have been made building for the future, both on and off the pitch. Club revenues were only those that the club operations generated. Financial fair play needed to be properly enforced to be effective. And now the focus was optimizing revenues and ensuring that the club's funding strategy is long-term and sustainable. The club is doing everything possible to maximize revenues to go back into the first team."
Yeah, no surprises there. Look, I'm not against them maximising revenues and finding new revenue sources, or even making Spurs sustainable. I'm not against that, but I'm not happy with how they've dealt with matters on the pitch. But look, things are going in the right direction, so I don't want to bat around that point too much because I'm liking what I'm seeing, but the fact of the matter is, over the past 4 years, they made a series of really bad, well, more than 4 years, but if we're taking 4 years specifically, they've made a series of really bad decisions which have really impacted and eroded a lot of the trust from the fans in terms of whether they can be trusted to use the fund adequately when it comes to matters on the football pitch. So yeah, I'm happy. I don't mind the revenues and all that stuff going back into the club or making extra revenues, and I understand that's part of the plan, but at the end of the day, I care about the football.
Yeah. And like, how many false dawns have we had? And how many times have we sat here and been like, all right, they've made loads of bad decisions in the past, but things seem to be going in the right direction now. And then a few months later, we're there with egg on our faces. How many times has that happened?
Happened a lot, but it has happened a lot. 100%. It's happened every time. So it makes you hard to believe that it's ever going to be anything but that. I have to just, at the moment, like, I'm happy with Postecoglou. I'm happy with the signings. There are definitely things that we should have done more in the summer when it comes to transfers. I'm 100%. But I do like what we're doing at the moment. So I don't have too much to complain about when it comes to on the pitch stuff. But if we do get a few injuries and we're all the time playing Dyer or playing even other players at centre back, there's no other place I can look at but the board for why we're in that situation.
Yeah. Next one, you'll like this one. This is Daniel Levy again. He says, "Football is at the heartbeat of everything this club does and is the club's key driving focus. The club is self-sustaining, competing in the most competitive league in the world. The strategy to date has been to invest in the playing squad, build a new training centre and increase stadium capacity. The focus now is to optimise those investments, both tangible and intangible, and drive revenues that enable the club to reinvest in players and create a winning club." It's actually the next quote that you're going to like even more.
Oh, okay. I mean, I understand that's the strategy. I understand that. So, I mean...
Hasn't this always been the strategy, though?
That's what they said. Look, I will say, to be fair, since we've moved into the new stadium, spending has increased. That is the reality. That's the truth. If you look at our net spend since 2019, it's fairly high. I think every window... Since we've moved into the stadium, we've spent over 100 million at least on transfer fees. Yeah. And also that's coupled with the fact that our outgoings haven't been particularly impressive in terms of how much money we've been able to gain. Apart from Kane, there hasn't been too many significant sales in that time as well. So when they say spending was going to increase, I mean, they've stuck to their word, to be fair. So what I can't really... And what can I say about that?
I mean, spending has increased, but it's the way and the manner that we've spent and the chopping and changing of the football philosophy of this football club. Like, it's all fair to say, yeah, fine, spending has increased. I'm not going to lie, it definitely has. But that's just like one facet of the situation. There are so many different facets of why this club has been going backwards and stagnated for so many years. And it's not just on spending. There's so many different elements to put into it.
100%, but what they're talking about there is spending money, going back and reinvesting in the squad, and us being able to spend, and that does seem to be happening.
But this one is the last quote we got, and he says, N17, it's more than just a place, it's where we dare, it's where we do, all of us as one. I'm actually laughing just reading this. It's home to our history, our heritage and our past. It's where we focus on our present and our future too, because today is the day when we build the foundations for tomorrow, foundations that will change lives for generations, foundations that create extraordinary experiences, memories to cherish forever, and moments which bond us together. It's where we unleash our creativity and welcome the world to our culture, to our community, where our rich diversity shines with pride and purpose, because we are all because we all rise when we lift each other's dream, dare, do together.
What's Braveheart? What's going on here? I'm so confused. I'm just imagining Levy doing a rallying cry on the board. He's like getting up on the fan advisory board and just doing this rallying cry. I'm shocked. I mean, I've never seen him have an ounce of passion in his life. So to think that he said that is very strange.
I think it's more like, all right, look, we've got this fan advisory board now. Let's just try speak their language.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if it came from another person, I'd tend to believe it. But I like when he says this club is about daring and doing. I mean, I've never seen Levy embody those principles within himself in the transfer market.
I just can't keep the laughter in trying to read that as quotes from Daniel Levy. It's just like, what?
I'm shocked that he's the one who said that, to be honest. I just can't imagine him. Just I remember watching that a Cambridge Union thing, that person saying that. Just not a chance. I just can't imagine it.
Dream, dare, do together.
And he should come out half time and say that in the stadium.
Oh, Delia Smith, let's be having you.
Exactly.
All right, well, that's the Daniel Levy quotes from the fan advisory board meetings, but there is another Levy quotes are probably going to be coming out tomorrow from the fan panel. That is tonight. Well, tonight or tomorrow?
I think it's tonight. I think the
It's Tuesday, I think it is.
Maybe it's
Tuesday. It's tomorrow.
Well, there are highlights coming out of it. Maybe they said after the event. So
right. So I think it's around middle of the day tomorrow. So I guess it will filter through tomorrow evening or something like that. But last but not least, unfortunately, Jed Spence has picked up an injury in his early stages of his Leeds loan. Phil Hay from The Athletic says that Jed Spence is set to be out for up to 8 weeks, but is not expected to require surgery on his knee ligament injury. So that's a massive kick in the teeth for Jed, who's obviously gone down to the Championship once again to reignite his career. He just can't catch a break, really.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that must be a massive blow, because it was a big season for him to try and get his career back on track. And the fact that I don't know, he's played one or two games for Leeds, and now all of a sudden he's out for 2 months. So, he's going to be out for 2 months, and he's going to work his fitness back up. He's got to get himself back in the team, and then he's going to show his best side as well. That has got to be a massive kick in the teeth for him. So I feel for him, but this happens in your career. So hopefully he can, in 2 months' time, he can get back to his best.
Yeah.
It's a shame though.
Let's hope so. In terms of other loan spells, I mean, I know Alfie Devine played on the weekend. He started the game. I think he lasted about 75 minutes, and Dane Scarlett hasn't played yet for Ipswich. So it's a bit of a shame that.
That's a massive shame.
It's only been 2 games, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. But let's hope sooner rather than later he can get some minutes, because I'm so excited about what he can do in that league.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your reaction to all those Daniel Levy quotes. But thank you, everyone, for joining. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.